I'm so excited.
Hello, welcome to Chick Chat and Chill. I am your co-host, Laura Fickett. I own Fickett Financial Coaching. I have an MBA with a CPA, and I love helping people to coach them to financial success and wealth. And I'm here with my co-host, Antoinette.
Hello. I'm Antoinette. I own Pixel This. It's an art and design studio and been at it for a long time doing a lot of global brands and excited to be here as well. So, our topic for today is a very happy and joyous one. And it's basically finding that inner happiness, that inner joy. And I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with. Have you found that to be the case?
Oh my goodness, I think it's like getting worse and worse. There's more pills out there to try and make people happy, but I do find like even coaching my clients, I find that happiness, depression, anxiety, like all of these things are becoming more prevalent in our society. And somebody gave me a plaque one time, if you're out there, you know who you are, that said some people pursue happiness and others create it. And that always stuck with me that you really have to try to create happiness. And so we're going to talk, I think we should talk a lot about that
Yeah,
today,
yeah,
some of the
for
methods.
sure. For sure. I think that's the problem. I think a lot of people look for happiness outside of themselves. You know, they're looking for their mate to make them happy or this certain thing. And the thing is with happiness, if you look at the word like happy, it means something happens and therefore I am, I feel this emotion, whether it's happy or sad, where I think I want to kind of do this very early on, but I think rather than pursuing happiness, people should really pursue joy, which is more of an internal state and it's not so, uh, it doesn't hang up on the highs and lows in life. If you have inner joy, you could have a terrible day, but it doesn't affect you, where happiness is more something fleeting.
Yeah, you know what? I heard, and I think it's an Irish tale or something, that they say like sadness is upon me. They don't say I'm sad because they don't want to identify as a sad person. They say is upon me. But people that say like I'm sad, I'm sad, I'm sad, I'm sad, I think you're like programming your brain to be sad. So I think, using your mind to control your joy, your happiness. If you saw my first t-shirt from the first episode, it said choose joy.
Yeah.
Told you I'm going to wear a new t-shirt every week. Until I run out, and then everybody has to send me t-shirts to wear because I'm not just going to go out and buy t-shirts. But happiness, really, I have worked so tirelessly and I have implemented all kinds of tools that we're going to talk about. I'm going to share with everyone on how to really be happy,
Yeah.
like perspective, for example. I remember a time my daughter was a junior Patriots cheerleader. If you're not a Patriots fan, it's irrelevant to the story. So my car had, and I said car, yes, this was up in Massachusetts. So if you'd like, I can say my car broke down and we can go through all that. But my car, the battery wasn't working. So I had shut it off in the sun and went to go start it and move. And because I was overheating and it wouldn't start. So I looked around and I thought, oh, well, there's plenty of people here. And I did a little stereotyping and looked for a group of guys thinking they had jumper cables. Well, the group of guys that I went to were minivan. They did not have jumper cables in their minivan. They said, this guy over in this pickup truck probably has jumper cables. Sure enough, he did. Older gentleman who did give me a very great lecture on the fact that we are unprepared as a young society to be able to handle emergencies like this. But I was so grateful that he helped me jump the car, left it running. And while I was waiting for my daughter, I went on my phone, ordered a battery, asked my husband if he could put it in when we got home. And my whole perspective was I'm so lucky that I'm not here alone. I'm so lucky it's during the day. I'm so lucky that there's somebody that can, give me some wisdom and advice on the fact that I needed jumper cables. And I'm so fortunate that I have the ability to order a battery and that my husband can put it in. And my perspective on that was so different and it created happiness, right? Because we can't avoid these problems in our life. We're going to have problems all the time. It's a different mindset than somebody that's like, oh, I can't believe this happened to me. And now I have to spend this money on a battery. And this is now I got to go talk to somebody else and try and find jumper cables. The only difference is my perspective, my
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. I think it's more about what you focus on. What you focus on, you bring more of that into your life. And I had, uh, I have one of those lives that just a lot of things happen, and it's just crazy. People are always telling me to write a book. And I remember once I was sitting in my driveway with this gentleman that I was really good friends with. And by perspective, he's a very successful man. He's a celebrity. His wife is a household name. His daughter's an actress, like really well to do, has more accomplishments than you could possibly imagine. And we were sitting in my driveway, and it was one of those things where I had this stalker, and unfortunately I moved, and he moved a block and a half away, and then I hired a contractor, and he destroyed my house, and then it was condemned, and it was like it was
This is
like
a country song.
yeah, it was like my life is a country song. So it was one of those things that happened, and he was telling me my drive. He goes, "You're the happiest person I know," and he goes, "If I had your life, I would have put a bullet through my brain long ago."
Oh my goodness.
Like somebody says that to you, it sticks with you.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, what? Like, whose life are you looking at? Because to me, I am so grateful for like, that's just stuff. That's just temporary stuff that's going on with me. And if you look at things in a bigger perspective, and there's always, like, even I had a friend who was going through this horrible, horrible day. And I said, not every day is going to be great, but there's something great in every day. So what do you want to focus on? You
Right.
know? And I think the key, which you said without really, but to really kind of put a pin in it, is not only focus, but gratitude. There's something always in every situation to be grateful for. I remember, and my mind, and we could go through how to start doing that, but my mind just automatically goes there. Like in the same time where the guy was like, "Why didn't you do that?" My neighbor's tree fell on my house. And no joke, first thought in my head was, "Oh my God, I have less pine needles to." I mean, literally, that was the first thought. And then after that, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? But
I think we should tell people that that's a trained mindset, right?
yes, yes,
It's not like today I'm a not positive person and tomorrow I'm a positive person. It takes time, energy, and effort. Just like when we talked about exercise, it's consistent effort. There's like 80,000 thoughts that run through your head in a day. And if 60,000 of them are negative, it's going to be virtually impossible for you to be happy. You have to convert those negative thoughts to positive ones. See, like you said, a different perspective and a different view on things. And then I do reserve 20,000 negative thoughts for, driving and nobody's perfect. The only place to go from there is down, right?
yeah,
So 60,000 positive thoughts in a day and 20,000 negative. I think that's a good ratio.
yeah.
But I heard you can't, I'm not by any means any kind of a neurobiologist or any of that kind of stuff. But I did hear you cannot have anxious thoughts and gratitude thoughts at the same time because the center of your brain or something like that is controls them both. So if you start to feel anxious and you start to practice gratitude, you can't do them both at the same time. And I would much prefer to practice gratitude than unhappiness or anxious.
Yeah. And I think a good thing too is also what you surround yourself. I was convincing my parents to like stop watching the news, because the news isn't what's going on, it's what negative
I
is
stopped
going on.
watching it
And
years and years
same
ago.
with
Yeah.
me. And she's a big like forensic files, and I love that stuff too. But every night I'm like, oh, you're gonna watch death now. And it's okay, but again, you need a balance. Like you have to also seek, the amount of like serotonin and stuff, and all the healing properties of watching a comedy is so much different than if you're watching this, you know, horrible, I don't know, like those scary movies where it's just an axe murderer killing people. It produces different chemical effects in your body, and it affects you whether you like it or not. It actually does. But I was thinking there's actually like thinking of some like very actionable steps. So I know for me, I noticed I was having a lot of negative thoughts with, again, driving or something like
Hmm.
that. Or I would pick apart people. I would see somebody and I'm like, oh my God, who would wear that? Whatever.
I
So,
never do that. I don't know what you're talking about.
but it was one of those. I remember I was going to the gym and I had my blinker on waiting for a spot, and somebody came in from the opposite end as they were pulling out and just pulled right in. And I was like, "Oh my God, see you next Tuesday." So,
Whoa.
so you know, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's terrible." So then in my mind, like I knew I had to stop this, so I was forcing myself to say something nice about this person. So after I said that, I'm like, "But you might be a good mother,"
No.
and it was hard at first, but I think you have to train your mind that when you notice yourself doing something negative, force yourself to find whatever positive is in that situation. And another thought I was thinking, and I'll run it by you, but you know how many people go like, "How are you?" or "How was your day?"
Yes.
Rather than answering that question as it's directed or asking people, like even if you're talking around the dinner table, what about if you say, what's something good that happened in your day?
Hmm.
And then not only, even if they said, "How are you?" tell them the good in that day.
Right. Right. When people ask me how are you doing, I always say I'm excellent. I'm fantastic. Like always say something really positive. And at the dinner table, we do our favorite part of the day. We go around the table. I think I should put a little disclaimer. We're not editing this, so what she just said, like it's going to be in there, and that'll be in there forever. But I do like that you turned it around and made it a positive, because I have those intrusive thoughts, right? Who does not have those intrusive thoughts? We're so trained for that negative thought to come out. Somebody does something that you feel is unjust, and of course you're going to get angry, and be like, well, I'm going to hitch a chain up to the back of your car. Why don't you go in that store and pull you out of that spot? It's what I call an intrusive thought. But then to take it and say, well, maybe they're in a rush and maybe they really need medicine for their elderly grandmother or something, to just try and think positive really does create happiness. Gratitude is huge. And I'm a Christian through and through. And so I find that reading the Bible does help me feel better and brings me joy and happiness. Whatever religion you practice, there's nothing in there telling you to kick puppies and abandon kittens. So there's all kinds of good information in there. There's good stories about how to live your life and positive things, not like you said, the news. I mean, I know where my children are at 10 o'clock, so I don't need that reminder like my mother did when the news would come on. Do you know where your children are? I don't need that from the news. And I don't need there's no feel good stories anymore. It's just unhappiness and fear and negative, constant barrage of negative information. So it's no wonder why we're unhappy in a society. But when you wake up and you have indoor plumbing, that's an opportunity to say, I'm so thankful I don't have to go outside to go to the bathroom this morning. I'm so glad that, the water comes through and it's clean, and you can play a little glad game. Once you try it, do it. I mean, you don't have to do it out loud. I do, because who cares if people think I'm crazy? It doesn't really bother me anymore. But you can play a glad game. Just try it. Try it for a day. I challenge you. 24 hours, try. When a negative thought enters your head, think of something positive and replace it. And you're going to notice that just even for those 24 hours, you feel a lot happier. I mean, it's not to say that people don't have chemical imbalances and things that they need to work with their doctors on. We're just talking about the average people like us
Yeah.
that want to create happiness and not wait for
Yeah.
happiness.
The other thing that I notice a lot too is, um, in people that I know are depressed, like you could clearly see they go through this push pull all the time and they struggle with it. They seem to be the most self focused people on the planet. Um,
Yes, a lot of them.
and like I have this one friend that's coming to mind, and he, on Facebook, it's like, look at my new Rolex, and I just made 20 grand today, working 2 hours and all this stuff. And then the next post is like, give me a reason to live. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's that bad. And I think part of that is being self-focused, and part of joy is something greater and larger than yourself. And I like that you brought up, reading the Bible and stuff like that, but people need to find that sense of purpose and that brings them joy. And a lot of that is doing something for other people besides ourselves. They have this thing called helper's high, it increases serotonin. They've done studies on this. This is an actual real thing. And by help, I think a lot of people misinterpret that. They're like, "Oh, I do all these things and I get nothing in return." You're really not helping. You're doing a tit for tat. That's
All
not
right.
really helping. If people go and they have an infant and they're feeding it and caring for it, they're not going to be like, "Well, when's this infant going to come and wake up in the middle of the night and take care of me?" It's you're giving with the intent of giving and expecting nothing in return. If you're if you're at that point where you're expecting something back, that's not truly um you're not truly giving, and I think you have to get yourself in that place. And another thing I just want to mention, that I think another reason why people struggle with this happiness is they're not in the moment. They're looking at something that happened in the past, or they have all this anxiety about something in their future, and there's so much to enjoy right now. Kind of like Laura said, like, oh, I have running water and plumbing and electricity. If you have a hurricane and you're missing those things, believe me, when that power comes back, you are grateful.
Yeah.
And we're in Florida, we know it,
Right. For sure. For sure.
right?
And you know what? I mean, there's been plenty of times in my life where I have been sad and I have, my parents are no longer on this earth. I have experienced loss. I've experienced a divorce. I remember one time, um, I found out something horrific I went from caring about, my spouse to thinking that they were a monster in about 30 seconds. Sometimes there's information that you find out that is just so horrific. And so I didn't know I had three kids. They were really young. They were 6 and turning 5 and turning 4. And what was I going to do as a single mom? I had all these things on my plate and I really was getting very depressed and very unhappy. And I went outside to cry. I didn't want to cry in front of the kids. And my older daughter, she's so like intelligent for her years. She was 6 and she came out and she said, "Mom, what's the matter?" And I said, "I just don't know if I can do all this myself." And she said, "Well, is everything you do fun?" This is a 6-year-old, right? Of course, it's not fun. Of course, not everything I do is fun. And she said, "Well, if it's not fun, why would you do it?" I still think about this. She's 23 now. I think about this all the time. If it's not fun, why would I do it? I have some control over my happiness in my life. So within the next couple weeks, I cut out certain things like the finance committee in town and they replaced me in 2 weeks. And I cut out certain things that were taking up my time, not providing me a lot of joy, like we just talked about. And I recreated my life so that I could alleviate some of the stress that was causing me depression and unhappiness. And it's something that has stuck with me, that she says, if it's not bringing you happiness, like why am I doing it? And then I thought to myself years later, if I look 5 years ahead and there's something in my life right now that if I am doing it 5 years from now, I'm going to be very unhappy with, well, I need to change that situation, right? If it's a job, let's say, that you're unhappy with, is there a different department that you can go into? Then start focusing on elevating your game to get promoted to the other department. But if you think 5 years from now, I'm still doing the same thing I'm doing today and I'm going to be unhappy, you have a choice whether to stay unhappy for 5 years or make some changes to progress towards your goal, like we talked about in week 1.
Yeah. And I think it's important too to know the things that make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I was working in the art and design field. It's very stressful. There's always a deadline, there's always last minute changes, and I'll give you everything tomorrow and it's due yesterday. I mean,
Gosh.
that's just the nature of business. So I remember once I was really stressed out and everyone was coming at me and I couldn't take it anymore. I got in my car, I went to the beach, and I was living in Connecticut at the time, and the beach had a playground like right on the beach, and I just sat on the swing and started swinging, and my legs went over the water, and you realize there's a bigger world out there than me in an office getting stressed out about marketing sugar water. I mean, that's basically what it was. I like, and it gives you that perspective, and you have to know those things that will bring you joy. Does going in nature bring you joy? Does a certain activity or a certain song or petting your dog or a hug from your kids, know those things that um, whatever's going on in your life, it'll up it a notch. For me, it's going to the gym. I don't care what kind of day I'm having. If I go to the gym, I always leave feeling better. And this is actually a funny story. So I was with my ex, and again, I was a lot of stuff at work or whatever, and he was always kind of the audiophile, like he
Right.
music and always in charge of the stereo. And I kept noticing, like, every so often he would always put on this album, and I loved the album, it was so relaxing, whatever. But then I started to notice a pattern, and then I said to him, I go, "Wait, are you putting this on because I'm a little feisty?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's music to soothe the savage bunny." And I said, "Why wouldn't you just tell me, like, calm down, woman?" And he goes, "This is so much easier." He goes, "I know how calm and happy this song makes you." So he goes, "It's easy enough to put on."
Mm.
And to me, like, when he said that, I'm like, now that's love to me. You
That's
know what I mean?
important.
It's
It's a
not all,
win-win, right?
yeah,
Because if
it's a,
you're calmer, he's happier.
well, exactly, but it's one of those that not only know yours, but be cognizant of other people's. If you see somebody having a bad day and you could do something for that, he wasn't looking for a reward or way to go, honey. He did it because he knew it would bring me joy
Hmm.
you know, and I think that's an important thing too, kind of that giver's gain as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, it's really hard to quantify because there's so many different things that I do to try and create happiness, and it's so hard to quantify, exactly what matters more than other things. Like I was just thinking I should give a shout out to acupuncture because if you don't like needles, they're really tiny. It's fine. Heather Sherline, Dr. Heather Sherline here in Palm Coast, Florida. Shout out to her. She's a great acupuncturist, and acupuncture actually helps like calm you down and make you feel happier. But listening to music, like you said, that can also be something. It doesn't have to be something expensive. It doesn't have to be something. It can be a walk in the woods. I love being in nature. I love everything about being outside except when it's cold, and and that's something for me. Like if you can go to the beach or you can go take a walk or you can, even if you have one moment of happiness, focus on that and not the other 60,000 moments of unhappiness in the day. We are always going to have unhappy things that happen to us. I have not had one year in my entire life where things have been like skipping through the meadow and people think your life is so great. It's because I'm constantly looking to create a great life for myself.
Yeah.
But there's not been one year where something hasn't gone wrong or something bad hasn't happened. And I've just learned to try and change my perspective. And I do a lot of conversations with God, like, help me out here, carry me like the footprints in the sand. And it really is a conscious effort that you need to make every day that no matter what, I'm going to be happy. I mean, you see those people, you read about the people that were in concentration camps and they kept their mind mentally strong and they were able to survive. And so I started doing this exercise with people. If you want to try it with me now, do you want to
Sure,
try it?
I'll
All
try.
right, try this little exercise. So if you close your eyes and you think about a time when you were losing, a time that was really horrible, like nothing went your way, they're not going great, you're frustrated, you're angry, it's just a horrible time in your life. Think about that time. Like, how did you feel and who was around you and what was the weather? Just think about that. Now open your eyes and how do you feel?
You just feel dismal.
Dismal, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell everybody in the audience, like, we haven't left our seats. Okay. So the only thing I did was talk her through and bring her to a point of low in literally 30 seconds, maybe. Okay, now close your eyes. So we don't want to stay here, okay? So close your eyes. Now think of a time you were winning. Think of a time that was excellent, something great happened to you or a friend, or you gave a gift and the joy on someone's face, or a time when you were laughing, a time that was just, I'm getting goosebumps, like a time that's so good. It's like vivid in color and the sun is shining and it's so amazing. Now open your eyes. Now
Yeah.
how do you feel?
I feel great. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
And
And
it's
we're still in the same seats.
yeah. And it's one of those, like, even I noticed while you were saying that, I had a huge smile on my face. And that kind of is a point too. Like, even if you're on the phone and you're smiling, even if it's a forced smile, you will
Mm,
start feeling better. And this whole thing of happiness, it's actually a muscle that you train. So it's not, you know, day one is going to be a lot harder than day 300, at the
right,
end of the
of
year.
course.
So it's one of those things, like, I wake up happy. If I ever don't feel happy, I'm like, wait, what's going on? Sometimes I might be picking up on something from someone else, but that's my set point. I don't have to bring myself to there. It's things happen. I still have the same negative stuff that happens, but that takes me away from my set point, and then I can bring myself back.
Yeah, it's mindset. It's,
It really,
gratitude, and some people don't get to wake up in the morning,
yeah,
or they're waking up in a hospital, or they're waking up, in different situations. So
yeah,
it is really it's mindset. And then, like I said, the body. So taking care of your body, I know I feel better when I eat less sugar. I know I feel better. You feel better when you exercise at the gym. If you've watched our podcast, you know the gym is not my friend. We're not going there.
yeah.
Oh, I am doing a lot of push-ups now. A lot meaning two. But
Hey, you doubled. Look at
doubled.
you.
But and I celebrated it. Okay, I'm celebrating it
Yeah,
like a rock star. So those are the kind of things, like, who can't sit in their chair and close their eyes and think of a time, one single time, that was great, and smile? Can't 24 hours, I told you, if a negative thought pops into your head, or those really intrusive ones, think of something positive. Try that out. Read or go walk in nature or listen to music. Do all the things that we just talked about.
yeah.
We could talk about this topic too forever
Forever.
and
Yeah,
ever. But happiness really is something I think you can create. Choose joy, even if it's a tiny little bit every single day. It will compound like a snowball, and it will
yeah,
just grow and grow and grow. And this is, probably a decade's worth of information that I'm trying to condense here
yeah.
and give to you. So
There's
there's,
one thing I actually do want to kind of bring up because I think it's important.
yeah, go
I
ahead.
think in today's day and age, depression is huge. I mean, suicide rates are high, everything
It's
like that.
awful.
And in this time, there people are so much more connected with the planet, with the smartphones and the web and the this and information out there, but they feel more disconnected than
Mm-hmm.
ever because actual relationships and one-to-one conversations have gone by the wayside.
True.
People are looking at social media and they get that little high because they got a message or a like, and life isn't about that. Life is about who's sitting next to you, and or who can I help today? Even if you, like I said, if you could do something without anyone ever finding out about it, try to do something, just one nice thing for a person every single day. You'll notice you'll start feeling better. And I'm not anti social media, but so many people, I think, put too much eggs, like their eggs in that basket
Yeah,
for
it's
their
true.
happiness, and it's just it's not that, it's not what life is about. People are creating these false personas of, showcasing the best aspects of their life, and they don't show the other day-to-day stuff, and then you think, oh, my life pales in comparison to, comparison is a really bad sort. It's something you shouldn't go. Worry about yourself, worry about your life, the people around you, and I think that in itself would make itself much, much
Well,
happier.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really happy that you like who you're sitting next
Yeah.
to, especially right now.
I do. I do.
Well, we got to wrap things up here.
Yeah.
And the next topic, we're going to talk about Valentine's
Valentine's
Day.
Day.
And not just from the chick perspective. We're going to talk about it from the guy's perspective, because I'm going to have some compassion on you men, that our expectations may be a little too high. And so maybe, maybe we need to compromise on the whole holiday of Valentine's Day, and so that everybody can be happy, because I think it really is a very stressful holiday for
I
people.
I think so too. And it's funny because there's a lot of people that, let's say, are dating. A lot of them break up on that day, and a lot
Should
of
break
that.
up before, so you don't have to buy presents.
Yeah, be smart. Break up on the 13th.
Finances. Come on, people. Finances. Okay,
But
like wrap it up for us.
no, but I think it'll be a fun topic, some tips and all that. But, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us each and every week. We thoroughly enjoy talking about all different topics. By all means, if you have any ideas on what you want to talk about, but, until then, never stop laughing.
And never stop learning. See you next week.
Buying your first home or your fifth home can seem daunting until you find just the right one. And once you've found the perfect place for the next chapter of your life, make sure it's a great investment with the right home inspector. Home Team works with homeowners and real estate agents to make the process quick and easy, but never sacrificing quality or completeness. At Home Team, our inspectors always work as a team, combining years of experience and areas of expertise for an unmatched home inspection process. We inform new home buyers without alarming them so they can confidently move forward with their dream home purchase. And we help home buyers and agents close faster with less time to the inspection from the time it's ordered. Inspectors you can trust that are fast and accurate every time. That's the Home Team difference.